Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. What I'd like to demonstrate today is how to create a flow from scratch actually. And what I'm going to demonstrate is how to use a flow to get the metadata, which is a fancy name for saying columns and attributes, if you like, of a document library, how to get that information using flow, and how to use it. So what I'm going to be demonstrating is from the Midnight Coder dev site. I'm going to be using the documents library as an example, and I've already created 3 folders: folder 1, folder 2, folder 3. And in folder 3 there's a document called document.docx. Let's get started. I'm going to go to Flow, or as it's called, Power Automate, and I'm going to create a new flow. And what it's going to be is it's going to be an instant flow. What I will be looking for is I'm going to be looking for the trigger called for a selected file. It's a SharePoint trigger, and I can see that it's there, so I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to I'll name my flow get files demo. And I'll call it doc library. I'll click on create to get started, and we're ready to go. I'm going to go to my Midnight Coder dev site, and I'll get the URL. I'll add it, and from the drop down list I will select the documents library. In the next step, I'm going to look for get files properties only. It's a SharePoint action, and I'm going to get the same information. It's asking for exactly the same thing, the site address and the library name, so I'll add that. Okay, my next step is I'm going to be using a select data operation, and the reason I'm going to be using that is I'm going just to demonstrate how to map a key and value pair that can be used. And what I'm going to be using, getting the information from the one right above it, the get files properties only. So if I go to the from text box, a dynamic content panel is going to pop up, and I'm going to see get files properties only, which is the same name here. I'm going to grab the value, the list of items in the documents library actually. And if I go back just to them, I'm going to map I'll go to the documents library again, the name column, which is that metadata, to what the results from the get files properties only. So I'm going to be calling it name will be the key, and the value I'm going to grab from over here with the file name with extension. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this. Instead of select, I'm going to rename it to name, just to make it easier for me or for you to know what each step is doing, instead of just having a generic select and select 1, select 2. So I'm going to add a new step again, and I'm going to do the same thing of using a select data operation to map different properties that are that have been uh, that appear from the get files properties only. And what I'm going to map is the is folder property. So I'm going to do the same thing, get files properties only, the value list of items. And the key will be is folder. I'm going to grab the value from the get files properties only of is folder right here. And it's a Boolean value. It's going to give you, when we see the dynamic content, it always has a little explanation underneath it. So is folder it's a Boolean of true when the item is a folder, false otherwise. So Boolean just means basically in computer science a yes or no value. So I'm going to do one last select. And I'm going to grab the ID. And then I'll tab into the value area. And I'm going to look for ID from the column, from the list. And before I forget, I'm going to rename select to is folder. I'll just copy and paste it. I hate to type. And I'll do the same thing. I'll copy that and rename select to ID instead. I'll save, I don't have to, but it's just a habit. Then I'm going to put, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to loop through all the values that the get files properties only will grab from the documents library. So I'm going to type in apply to each. And it's going to give me the control. I'll select it. In here, I'm going to get the value, again, from the get files properties only. We didn't actually need to do the selects, all the selects. We could have done directly apply to each. I just wanted to demonstrate how we can map specific values directly from the get files properties and how to do it. It's just for a tutorial if you like. So I'm going to put add an action inside the apply to each. And in order to do that, I need a condition statement. So I'll type in condition and select it. The condition will give me yes or no. And the condition that I want to add is I want to just grab the documents, not the folders. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to the get files properties only, which was this at the top, the information that grabbed out of the documents library. And I'm going to look for is folder, which is similar to what we did to this one over here. And actually, if we want, we can just copy it from here and we'll place it in here. Oh, it's true. It's not going to let me do that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take it from here. If you noticed, I'm not sure if you noticed it. If you want, you can rewind the video at some point to verify it, or you can test it yourself. If I try to copy and paste a value in a condition, for some reason it will not allow me to this part is equal to or is not equal to whatever it it was by default is equal to, it will be grayed out. We can't change it, so it doesn't allow us to do the action properly. So we have to actually select it for the condition statement. In the value, I'm going to add an expression. So when the dynamic content panel comes up, I have to click on the expression tab, and in there I'm going to type in false. You'll see we'll find it here. I'll select it and I have to click OK in order for it to be saved into this text box area. So what this basically means is it's getting all the files, it's getting the information is coming from the get files properties only here, and the value from this area that we selected here, it's going to get everything. So there are 4 items in there. The condition that we want to filter essentially. So adding the condition is folder is equal to false means we just want to filter items in all this library that are documents, not folders. And in order to do that, here I'm going to add an action. And I will type in compose, which is another data operation in Flow. In the input folder, I'm going to add an expression. And I already copied it into a text editor. So I'll paste it in and I'll explain what it does. I actually have to add it here, not directly in the text box. I do that mistake quite often. Okay, so I'll click OK to add it, the expression, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a comment, and I'll copy in the expression that I used. So what it's doing, it's item, which means every item that it's looping through, I want to get the file name with extension, which basically means the name of any document and the extension. So if it, in this case, it's going to be document.docx because that's the only document that I have in the documents library. But it could have been anything if it was abc.txt or xyz.docx. It just means any document and its extension. So I'm going to save it. We're done for this flow, and we'll test it right away. So if I go back to my Midnight Coder dev site, and I go and select any folder, we'll take folder number 2. I'll click on the flow and I'll see I have my get files demo doclib that shows up. I'm going to click on it. A window will appear. I'm going to click on the continue button, and then I'm going to click on the run flow. So it should be very, very quick. I'll go back to my to the flow working area, and I'll go to the back button, and as you can see, the flow succeeded. And if we go through all the items, you'll see the runtime, what happens during runtime. The values, all of them are here. Then if we go to the name, these are the names that the select action got. So it's folder 1, folder 2, folder 3, and docx. It only selected the names. The is folder selected the boolean, is giving us the boolean value of this 4 items. So we have true, 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 and false, which means there are 3 folders and 1 document. The ID will give us the internal ID of the items in the documents library. Here there are 4 items and there are 4 item 1, 2, 3, and 4. We don't see that because this file is a hidden file. This column is a hidden column. I haven't, it's not showing up in my documents library. And then the looping, the apply to each, there should be 4 items, and indeed there are. If I click on the condition and I click on the compose, I should only have one that goes through. The no will not give us anything, but in the yes area, we should only have one document showing up. So if I go to 1 for folder 1, it's false. Folder 2, same thing, is false. Folder 3 is false also because it's a folder and not a document. And the last one should be true, and it is because the document X is showing up. So I hope you found this helpful. I will be doing several videos in the upcoming couple of weeks to show how we can manipulate and use metadata columns, files, libraries, and items, and loop through them. So yeah, I hope and enjoy it, and see you soon. Bye-bye.